Explosive breaking. Chrisean Rock just detonated her entire relationship with Blueface inside a Burberry store in broad daylight, and what the surveillance cameras caught is so unhinged, so publicly humiliating, so operatically messy, that even the salesperson on the floor looked ready to file a restraining order against the oxygen in the room. If you have been waiting for the moment the mask finally slips off Chrisean Rock in full 4K, buckle in, because this is the weekend the entire internet is going to remember. And no, this is not the recycled drama you have seen 100 times. This is Chrisean Rock walking into a luxury store in nothing but Blueface boxers, a bra, and a level of delusion so thick you could bottle it, sell it, and put a Burberry check pattern on the label. Straight up, this is the collapse in real time. Welcome back to the front row seat of the ongoing Chrisean Rock and Blueface circus, where no sacred cows are safe, no excuses land, and no amount of gospel autotune can wash away what we just watched happen in Los Angeles. If you are new here, understand the ground rules quickly. There are no favorites in this room. If you are attached to Chrisean Rock, if you are attached to Blueface, if you are attached to the fantasy that these two are the modern love story the timeline keeps trying to sell you, you may want to slide toward the exit right now. Nobody will chase you. Nobody will beg. But those of us who see clearly, those of us who have been documenting this wobbly circus since day one, we are staying, because tonight the receipts are stacked to the ceiling and Chrisean Rock handed the internet every single one of them herself. Let me set the stage before we roll it forward. Chrisean Rock flew into LA, again, because apparently the woman cannot go 72 hours without needing to prove to the world that Blueface is still, in her words, her man. Junior is in the picture, of course, dragged from one chaotic scene to the next like carry-on luggage. Chrisean Rock says she has a Jason Lee interview lined up. Some people are whispering it is not until Monday, but the calendar is not the story. The story is that Chrisean Rock and Blueface have linked back up for what is becoming their weekly rotation. Their weekend situationship. Their algorithm-approved reunion tour. And judging by every second of what unfolded, Blueface is one Chrisean Rock outburst away from disappearing to Antarctica. They pull up to the mall. Combat mode volume immediately. Chrisean Rock is loud, she is untethered from reality, she is walking around a public retail environment in Blueface boxer shorts and a bra top, and she wants the world to know it is Junior's fault. According to Chrisean Rock, Junior had a diaper accident so catastrophic it detonated her entire outfit, so she had no choice but to strut into the Burberry store dressed like she just lost a locker room bet. Now I am going to pause and ask a very grown-up question. Who travels with a toddler and packs 0 backup clothes for herself and 0 backup clothes for the baby? We saw the same thing last weekend. Chrisean Rock and Junior wore the same fits back to back, showered, and put the same outfits right back on the same body. Is this the millionaire lifestyle Chrisean Rock keeps advertising on her lives? Because from where the rest of us are standing, that looks like a woman who packed her ego and forgot her suitcase. Freeze the frame with me. Because before Chrisean Rock even makes it past the front display, she is already doing the thing she always does, the thing she cannot help. She is announcing her presence. Loud. Belligerent. Untethered. She is greeting fans, taking pictures, telling the store she is late to a Dodgers game, and simultaneously trying to run Blueface's entire live stream from the passenger seat of her own delusion. Blueface is trying to move. Blueface is trying to keep them on schedule. Chrisean Rock is walking around like the store belongs to her, like the customers belong to her, like the salesperson standing 3 feet away exists solely to fetch outfits at the speed of her mood swings. And the salesperson, watch his face, watch the eyes, this man is one Chrisean Rock shadow box away from clocking out for the rest of the calendar year. Chrisean Rock picks out an outfit for Junior. Then she picks one for Blueface. Then she picks one for herself. Then she changes her mind. Then she asks Blueface to pick. Then she overrides Blueface's pick. Then she calls the chat to vote. Then she overrides the chat. This is not shopping. This is a hostage negotiation with a toddler and a rapper. And in the middle of it Chrisean Rock keeps repeating that they are on a time crunch, the Dodgers game starts at 7:30, they are 30 minutes out, and yet every 90 seconds she finds a new reason to derail the mission. This is the pattern. This is the identity. Chrisean Rock cannot occupy a room without seizing the center of it, and she cannot seize the center of a room without setting the room on fire. Then it happens. The moment the entire internet has been screaming about since Friday night. Chrisean Rock, standing in the middle of Burberry, decides this is the perfect moment to address the colorism allegations. Not in a studio. Not on her podcast. Not through a written apology. No. Chrisean Rock, in a store full of paying customers, in a store full of employees, in a store with polished glass and expensive leather and the kind of quiet luxury oxygen you only get when the rent is 50 grand a month, Chrisean Rock decides to yell across the entire showroom about being called a colorist. And she does not defend herself with grace. She does not defend herself with maturity. She defends herself by proving the exact point everybody has been making about her for years. Let me play it for you. Because the words matter. Chrisean Rock says, and I am paraphrasing so YouTube does not eat this segment alive, that people clipped her wrong, that she did not say what she said, that Cash Doll took her comments out of context, that everybody keeps trying to make her the villain. And Blueface, bless his heart, immediately walks himself into the same landmine. Blueface starts listing off the exact same tone-deaf phrasings, calling her a pretty light skin, saying if he calls somebody a pretty red bone or a pretty Mexican that does not make him a colorist. And Chrisean Rock is laughing, half agreeing, half backpedaling, fully exposing herself. This is not damage control. This is Chrisean Rock walking into the courtroom and reading her own indictment out loud. You catching this? Because here is the part that unlocks the entire pattern. Chrisean Rock literally says on stream, out loud, in front of God and Burberry, that she does not know what she said, but they clipped it wrong. That sentence is the entire Chrisean Rock playbook in one breath. She does not know what she said. But she knows they clipped it wrong. How does she know it was clipped wrong if she does not know what she said? That is the paradox at the center of every Chrisean Rock scandal, and it has been the paradox for years. Chrisean Rock never says something offensive. Chrisean Rock only ever gets clipped wrong. And yet somehow, mysteriously, cosmically, the clips keep piling up. Cash Doll saw the receipts. Cash Doll responded. Cash Doll walked the timeline through the pattern. Because the truth is, this is not the first time Chrisean Rock has said something reckless about dark-skinned women. It is not the 10th. It is not the 20th. We have receipts stretching back years. Chrisean Rock has repeatedly framed her lighter complexion as a competitive advantage, has repeatedly punched down at darker women, has repeatedly used the phrase pretty for a dark-skinned girl and pretty for a light-skinned girl as if they carry the same emotional weight, which anybody with a working set of ears knows they do not. And now, cornered by Cash Doll, Chrisean Rock wants to act like a confused defendant. No. Chrisean Rock, wrap it up honestly. The internet has been screenshotting you for 4 years. This is not a clip. This is a catalog. Now let me swing the camera back to the Burberry showroom, because the disrespect Chrisean Rock is showing the actual establishment is a separate crime scene. There are other customers in the store. There are employees on the floor. There is a salesperson trying to do his job. And Chrisean Rock is yelling, banging on the glass counter with a wooden hanger, screaming, quote, order in the court, unquote, like the man is holding a gavel and not a coat hanger. Luxury stores operate on quiet. They will close the doors for a customer spending real money, not because you have to be famous, but to preserve the environment. That did not happen for Chrisean Rock and Blueface. Nobody closed the doors. Because Chrisean Rock was not a client. Chrisean Rock was a disruption. And here is where it gets darker. Blueface. Watch Blueface. Because Blueface is done. You can see it in his shoulders, you can see it in his eyes, you can see it every time Chrisean Rock opens her mouth and his soul leaves his body by another 2%. Blueface used to be the loudest voice in the room. Blueface used to be the instigator. Blueface used to feed off Chrisean Rock's chaos. Not anymore. Blueface is on the exit ramp emotionally. Blueface is nodding without listening. Blueface is rushing her out of the store not because he wants to get to Dodger Stadium but because he wants to get away from the sound of her voice. And Chrisean Rock, delusional as ever, cannot read the room. Chrisean Rock thinks she is winning. Chrisean Rock thinks she is running the trip. Chrisean Rock is losing in slow motion and cannot see the scoreboard. Let me roll the receipt reveal for you. Chrisean Rock stops mid-conversation to ask, and I quote, why are we getting this stuff again? Now context is important. Blueface has just been handed a receipt totaling nearly $6,000. Almost $6,000 for one outfit combination. And Chrisean Rock, The same Chrisean Rock who lives on stream telling us she is a millionaire, the same Chrisean Rock who claims she has been rich, the same Chrisean Rock who mocks anybody who questions her bank account, that same Chrisean Rock sees the total, glances at the price tag, and her entire body language changes. Her voice drops. Her eyes shift. Her energy folds. She is not paying. Blueface is paying. And still, the number physically disturbs her. That is the tell. That is the whole story. Nobody who is actually a millionaire flinches at a $6,000 Burberry receipt. Nobody. Especially when it is not their money. But Chrisean Rock flinched. Chrisean Rock flinched hard. Chrisean Rock flinched like a woman who knows exactly how empty the account behind the flex actually is. And do not let me forget Blueface's situation, because Blueface is being framed by his own supporters as the sugar daddy in this equation. Blueface, sir, you owe the federal government roughly $20 million in outstanding debt, tax obligations, and civil settlements. You are not spending Burberry money. You are borrowing Burberry money. You are performing Burberry money for a live stream audience that will forget about this clip by Tuesday. And Chrisean Rock is right next to you, filming, laughing, participating in a mutual delusion that both of you are living rich lives when the reality is you are both algorithmically wealthy and financially strapped. Two broke people cosplaying opulence in front of a Burberry mirror. That is what we are watching. Straight up, let us keep rolling this timeline. Because after the store, they get in the car, and Chrisean Rock decides this is her moment to run the entire stream. She wants to pick the music. She wants to skip Blueface songs. She wants to play her gospel record, Yahweh, which for the newer viewers I need to remind you was not written by Chrisean Rock. Yahweh started life as a diss track. That is documented. Chrisean Rock, before Junior was born, recorded a version of that track in a studio that was later relabeled and repackaged as a spiritual anthem. That song was handed to her. She went to jail and came home telling the internet she penned every syllable behind bars. She did not. Chrisean Rock is not a writer. Chrisean Rock is a mouthpiece for other people's compositions. And now she wants to weaponize Yahweh in the car to remind Blueface of the redeemed Chrisean Rock, the church-going Chrisean Rock, the Chrisean Rock who is not the same woman who was allegedly popping pills last weekend on a live stream. And Blueface, to his credit or to his exhaustion, will not play the song. Blueface plays something else. Something older. Something Chrisean Rock does not want to hear. Blueface plays Dear Rock, and if you have never seen the music video for Dear Rock, pause this video right now, go watch it, then come back. Dear Rock is one of the most emotionally revealing pieces of content in the entire Chrisean Rock and Blueface catalog. On camera Blueface is playing the dutiful romantic partner. Off camera, in the behind-the-scenes footage, Blueface is telling DDG and other associates that he would never actually marry Chrisean Rock. And Chrisean Rock, in that same behind-the-scenes footage, is sobbing in a corner because she believed the marriage narrative was real. That is the relationship in miniature. Chrisean Rock believing. Blueface performing. Chrisean Rock crying. Blueface laughing to his boys off camera. And now, years later, Blueface is putting that same song on the AUX while Chrisean Rock sits in the passenger seat trying to run his entire stream. This is not a coincidence. This is Blueface sending a message. And Chrisean Rock, untethered from reality, cannot decode it. Chrisean Rock gets irritated. Chrisean Rock demands the song be turned off. Chrisean Rock says, quote, "Throw the camera in the trash," unquote. Now think about that. Chrisean Rock flew across the country specifically to be on Blueface's stream. Chrisean Rock spent the last 72 hours making sure the entire internet knew she was going to be with Blueface this weekend. Chrisean Rock wanted the camera. Chrisean Rock needed the camera. Chrisean Rock built her entire trip around the camera. And now that the camera is capturing something Chrisean Rock does not want captured, suddenly the camera is the problem. Throw it in the trash. Put it down. Turn it off. Every time Chrisean Rock loses control of the frame, Chrisean Rock wants the frame destroyed. That is not confidence. That is not celebrity. That is a woman who only wants to be seen on her own terms, and who cannot handle a mirror that does not lie to her. You catching the pattern yet? Because we are not even at the worst part. Somewhere between the Burberry Meltdown and the Dodgers Stadium detour, the conversation turns to food. And this is where Chrisean Rock's entire wellness performance falls apart on live audio. Blueface asks Chrisean Rock what she wants to eat at the game. Nachos. Hot dogs. Popcorn. Standard stadium menu. And Chrisean Rock declines. Chrisean Rock says she is on a diet. Chrisean Rock says she is training. Chrisean Rock says she needs salmon and broccoli. Chrisean Rock delivers the entire monologue about her clean lifestyle, her boxing prep, her disciplined body, her sacred temple. And I want you to sit with that. Because last weekend, less than 168 hours ago, Chrisean Rock was on a live stream where credible sources documented her consuming substances that no serious athlete on the planet would touch during a training cycle. Pills. Powders. The whole apothecary. But nachos are the problem. A hot dog is the problem. A stadium pretzel is the problem. Wrap it up honestly. This is the con. This is the whole scam. Chrisean Rock wants credit for the salad while quietly running through the pharmacy. Chrisean Rock wants applause for a gym check-in while dodging a drug test. Chrisean Rock wants to be seen as an athlete without doing any of the athletic maintenance an athlete requires. And the audience, the fans, the loyalists, they eat it up because Chrisean Rock has convinced them that the surface aesthetic of discipline is the same as the underlying reality. It is not. It has never been. And every time Chrisean Rock tries to sell it, another cash doll receipt, another Carlisa reaction, another leaked clip, another Burberry meltdown reminds the internet exactly who Chrisean Rock actually is when the filters are off. Now here is where I have to give you the mid-trip receipt reveal because Chrisean Rock, sitting in the car, decides to make a threat. And I want you to listen to the exact phrasing. Chrisean Rock says, quote, "I got something for you by the end of the night," unquote. Directed at Blueface. In the middle of a conversation about money. In the middle of a conversation where Blueface has just spent thousands of dollars on her. What does Chrisean Rock have for Blueface by the end of the night? Because based on the historical record between these two, when Chrisean Rock says she has something for Blueface, the object in question is usually a fist, a bottle, or a ceramic lamp. Blueface knows this. Blueface has been on the receiving end of Chrisean Rock's things before. That is not a promise. That is a weather warning. And Blueface plays it cool. Blueface laughs. Blueface deflects. Blueface knows the cameras are on, and Blueface knows any reaction he gives will be clipped and reframed by the fandoms within 30 minutes. So Blueface swallows it. But you can see it in his jaw. You can see the fatigue. You can see the arithmetic Blueface is running in his head, calculating how many more Chrisean Rock weekends he can survive before his career, his legal calendar, and his sanity are pushed past the breaking point. Because let me remind everybody watching. Blueface is not in a stable place. Blueface is facing court dates. Blueface is facing custody complications. Blueface is dating multiple women, one of whom is currently pregnant, and Blueface has publicly acknowledged that Chrisean Rock is the one variable that consistently detonates his ability to hold any other relationship together. This is not a boyfriend. This is not a lover. This is a hazard. You catching this yet? Because we are still not at the worst part. The car ride toward the stadium turns into a full renegotiation of the entire live stream. Chrisean Rock demands songs. Blueface refuses. Chrisean Rock demands attention. Blueface asks her to share it with the chat. Chrisean Rock literally says, out loud, on stream, on record, that she cares about herself more than she cares about the chat. And then, because the internet exists and reactions were unfavorable, Chrisean Rock tries to walk it back, saying she cares about the chat just a little bit more than herself. Just a little bit. That single self-correction is the entire relationship between Chrisean Rock and her audience. She needs them. She resents them. She uses them. She dismisses them. She calls them into her chaos and then blames them when the chaos amplifies. There is no version of Chrisean Rock without the audience. And there is no version of the audience Chrisean Rock actually respects. And Blueface, in that same exchange, tries to gently correct her. Blueface says, look, we are in the car, the chat is here with us, it is supposed to be an experience for them too. Blueface, the man the internet has spent 5 years calling emotionally illiterate, is the one modeling audience empathy in that car. And Chrisean Rock, the woman who claims to be reformed, reborn, and rewritten, cannot even fake the emotional labor of pretending to care about her viewers. That is who Chrisean Rock is. That is who Chrisean Rock has always been. And no gospel record, no Yahweh remix, no baptism selfie, no scripture caption is going to overwrite that operating system. Freeze the frame with me one more time. Because I want to talk about something the fandoms will not acknowledge. Junior. Chrisean Rock Jr. That baby has been dragged through every scene of this weekend like a prop. The same clothes. The same recycled fits. The all-liquid diet of milk and baby protein shakes because Chrisean Rock cannot be bothered to feed the child real food. Junior having a diaper explosion catastrophic enough to require his mother to walk through a public mall in boxer shorts. If any regular mother, without the followers, without the cameras, without the celebrity halo, walked into a Burberry store dressed in boxers with a toddler in tow and a diet plan built on baby protein shakes, child services would already be on the phone. But because Chrisean Rock is a content event, we treat it like a plot twist instead of a red flag. That is the tragedy underneath all this. Junior is not entertainment. Junior is a child. And nobody in Chrisean Rock's orbit is protecting that child from becoming the collateral damage in his own mother's brand strategy. Straight up. This is the story nobody in the fandom wants to sit with. Now let me widen the lens because I want to bring the whole timeline back into focus. Chrisean Rock and Blueface on again off again dance has now cycled through so many iterations that even their most loyal supporters have lost track of the version they are supposed to be defending. Are they together? Are they co-parents? Are they streaming partners? Are they exes with benefits? Are they industry plants? Are they clout roommates? The answer, functionally, is all of the above simultaneously. Chrisean Rock and Blueface are not in a relationship. Chrisean Rock and Blueface are in a business arrangement disguised as a romance, disguised as a co-parenting agreement, disguised as a therapy session performed in front of cameras. And the business is failing because both partners refuse to operate at the level of professionalism the business requires. Blueface is dating other people openly. Chrisean Rock is threatening him in cars. They are yelling at each other in Burberry. They are calling each other colorists on stream. This is not sustainable content. This is a company on the edge of bankruptcy. And the algorithm knows it. Because look at the numbers. Look at Chrisean Rock's engagement. Look at Blueface's engagement. Peel back the artificial spikes from the manufactured drama beats and you can see a slow decline in the underlying core audience. The die-hards are still there. The reaction economy is still churning. But the neutral middle, the casual watcher, the algorithm-surfaced newcomer, they are tuning out. Because there is a limit to how many times you can serve the same beat. Chrisean Rock meltdown. Blueface eye roll. Carlisa reaction. Chrisean Rock apology. Chrisean Rock retraction of the apology. Chrisean Rock new drama. Rinse. Repeat. The internet has memorized the choreography, and choreography without evolution is decay in slow motion. Cash Doll's call-out matters here. Because Cash Doll is not a small voice. Cash Doll is not a niche commentator. Cash Doll is a working artist with a real audience and real cultural weight. And when Cash Doll publicly labels Chrisean Rock a colorist and provides the receipts to back it up, that is not a fan feud. That is a career-adjacent problem. That is the kind of allegation that starts affecting bookings, brand deals, and industry perception. And Chrisean Rock, instead of addressing it with the discipline a real defense requires, chose to address it while shopping for a $6,000 outfit in a Burberry showroom. That single decision tells you everything about Chrisean Rock's crisis management instincts. When the fire gets hot, Chrisean Rock reaches for the gasoline. Boost the channel real quick if you are still with me, because this next stretch is where the internet is going to lose its collective mind. Because the moment Chrisean Rock left the Burberry store, the receipts started pouring in from angles Chrisean Rock did not anticipate. Other patrons filming. Employees whispering to reporters. Second angle footage from the parking lot. Third angle footage from the escalator. Every camera in that mall was pointed at Chrisean Rock, and Chrisean Rock walked through the entire building acting like she was invisible to consequences. She was not. She never has been. Chrisean Rock has spent her entire career underestimating how permanent digital documentation is, and every quarter another compilation drops proving Chrisean Rock has not learned the lesson. Let me deliver the diagnosis, because I have been circling it for the entire video and it is time to land the plane. Chrisean Rock is not a rapper who has fallen off. Chrisean Rock is not a girlfriend who is grieving. Chrisean Rock is not a mother who is overwhelmed. Chrisean Rock is a person who has confused visibility with legitimacy, chaos with charisma, and volume with power. Chrisean Rock believes that being loud enough for long enough is a substitute for actually being right, being sober, being kind, being disciplined, and being accountable. It is not. It never has been. And the market, the algorithm, the audience, the industry, the courts, the pediatrician, if we are being honest, they are all quietly compiling the file that Chrisean Rock refuses to read. Blueface is not innocent. Let me be crystal clear about that. Blueface is a co-author of this collapse. Blueface has said colorist things on record. Blueface has treated women with a public disregard that borders on performance art. Blueface is in $20 million of debt. Blueface has multiple women in various states of pregnancy and disputes swirling around him. Blueface is not the hero of this story. Nobody in this story is a hero. But Blueface, in the specific footage we just walked through, is the one starting to run the internal math. Blueface is the one starting to look tired. Blueface is the one starting to signal, through body language, through song selection, through subtle deflections, that the Chrisean Rock chapter of his life may be closer to ending than the fandom is willing to admit. You catching this yet? Because the writing is on the Burberry wall. Literally. Let me play back one more line that I could not stop thinking about all night. Chrisean Rock, in the car, laughing, tells Blueface, quote, "You are talking too much," unquote. Read that again. Chrisean Rock telling Blueface that he is talking too much. Chrisean Rock, the woman who did not stop speaking for 72 consecutive hours last weekend. Chrisean Rock, whose vocal cords have not experienced true rest since roughly 2022. Chrisean Rock, whose entire brand is verbal saturation of every environment she enters. That Chrisean Rock, telling Blueface that he is talking too much. If irony had a face, it would look exactly like Chrisean Rock in that passenger seat. And Blueface, again, absorbs it, does not clap back, does not defend himself. Because Blueface, unlike Chrisean Rock, is finally learning that some fights are not worth the calories. Let me widen the lens one last time before we bring this home. Because I need you to understand the historical pattern to see why this weekend is different. Every previous Chrisean Rock and Blueface reunion has followed the same three-act structure. Act 1, dramatic public reunion, streamed, celebrated by the fandom, sold as a comeback. Act 2, 12 to 72 hours of relative peace, sometimes accompanied by a shared meal, a live stream, or a matching outfit run. Act 3, catastrophic public breakdown, usually involving physical altercation, verbal escalation, or a legal complication. That three-act cycle has run at least a dozen times. And every single time, the fandom acted shocked in Act 3, as if Act 3 was not written in stone from the moment Act 1 began. Insanity is doing the same thing 12 times and expecting a different Dodgers game. This weekend, though. This weekend is different. Because for the first time in the documented Chrisean Rock and Blueface archive, Act 2 is showing cracks that were not there before. Blueface is tired earlier. Blueface is deflecting earlier. Blueface is checking out earlier. And Chrisean Rock is escalating without any of the usual grace period. Chrisean Rock skipped straight to Act 3 energy inside the mall. Chrisean Rock was already yelling, already threatening, already flexing debt money, already picking colorism fights, before they even got to the stadium. If Act 1 was the mall, and Act 3 is supposed to be the stadium, then Chrisean Rock and Blueface have effectively collapsed the three-act structure into a single suffocating act. And that means the finale, when it comes, is going to be louder, uglier, and more public than any prior installment. Straight up, mark my words on this one. I have been documenting this for a very long time. The next flashpoint between Chrisean Rock and Blueface is not going to happen behind closed doors. It is not going to happen in a hotel room. It is not going to happen in a private DM. It is going to happen live, on stream, in a public venue, in front of witnesses, in front of security cameras, in front of a chat that will screenshot every micro-expression. And when it happens, Chrisean Rock is going to try to spin it, is going to try to clip it herself first, is going to try to release her own narrative, and the internet is going to reject the narrative, because we have all been trained by every previous cycle to see through it before it hits the timeline. Now let me close the loop on the Yahweh conversation, because I opened that door earlier and I owe you the payoff. Chrisean Rock's insistence on Yahweh being her spiritual awakening record is one of the most transparent performance pieces in modern celebrity Christianity. Chrisean Rock does not live like the song. Chrisean Rock does not speak like the song. Chrisean Rock does not treat people like the song. The song is a costume. And Chrisean Rock puts the costume on when the cameras are hot and takes it off the second the camera's cool. Yahweh is not Chrisean Rock's testimony. Yahweh is Chrisean Rock's alibi. And every time Chrisean Rock plays it in the car, in the club, in the stream, in the studio, she is not worshipping. She is laundering. She is trying to launder a reputation that is soaked in receipts, and no amount of auto-tune scripture is going to bleach out the stain. Wrap it up honestly. Chrisean Rock needs to stop. Not stop existing. Not stop being a public figure. Not stop pursuing whatever version of a career she believes she is building. But stop performing the redemption without doing the redemption. Stop performing the wealth without earning the wealth. Stop performing the motherhood without protecting the child. Stop performing the boxing career without honoring the discipline. Stop performing the relationship without respecting the partner. Stop performing the apology without living the apology. Because the internet has receipts. The industry has memory. The algorithm has data. And Chrisean Rock is running out of runway to keep pretending the crash is not coming. You catching this? Because this is not a hater rant. This is not a takedown. This is not personal. This is a documented pattern being read back to Chrisean Rock at full volume with the cameras rolling. And if Chrisean Rock cannot hear it, that is not a hooked woo problem. That is not a cash doll problem. That is not a Blueface problem. That is a Chrisean Rock problem. And Chrisean Rock problems, historically, get louder before they get quieter. Straight up. Blueface, if you are watching, and I have every reason to believe someone on your team monitors these channels, hear this from a neutral corner of the internet. You are not required to keep participating in this cycle. Your child does not need his mother and father to be in a performative relationship. Your child needs both parents to be functional, sober, present, and safe. That is not a package Chrisean Rock is currently able to deliver, and Blueface, based on the footage from this weekend, you already know it. You are just delaying the announcement to protect the algorithm math. Do not let the algorithm math dictate your family math. Those are two different spreadsheets, and one of them has your son's name on it. Chrisean Rock, if you are watching, and I know you are because you monitor every corner of every commentary channel about you, hear this too. You are not the villain because you are loud. You are not the villain because you are ambitious. You are not the villain because you are complicated. You are the villain in this specific story because you refuse to acknowledge the pattern, refuse to take the notes, refuse to sit down with the truth, refuse to stop weaponizing every apology as a marketing beat. And the internet is not going to let you rewrite the record while the record is still being written in real time. We are watching. We are documenting. And we are not the enemies. We are the archive. Boost the channel if you have made it this far, because we are wrapping up, and I want to hear from you in the comments. Who do you think snaps first this weekend? Blueface, quietly, through a passive exit. Or Chrisean Rock, loudly, through another public detonation. Because based on the footage from the Burberry store, the car ride, the stadium approach, and every micro-expression I have been dissecting for the last hour, one of them is about to blow the entire dynamic wide open. And I want your read. I want your prediction. I want your receipts if you have them. Slide down to the comments and tell me exactly what you saw. Tell me if you clocked the moment Blueface's face changed. Tell me if you noticed Chrisean Rock's mood shift when the total hit $6,000. Tell me if you heard the exact phrasing of the colorism defense. Tell me if you have receipts on the Dear Rock behind-the-scenes footage that everybody keeps referencing. Tell me if you think Junior is being cared for the way a toddler deserves to be cared for. Tell me your uncensored, unfiltered, no favorites read on where this is all headed. Because that is what this room is built for. Honest observation. Sharp documentation. No sacred cows. And listen. Before you close the tab, before you jump to the next video, before you let the algorithm decide what you watch next, let me tell you what is coming. Because this is only Friday. The weekend is not over. Chrisean Rock and Blueface still have a Dodgers game to attend. Still have a Jason Lee interview to survive. Still have a court appearance looming. Still have a Carlisa reaction video incoming. Still have a cash doll response cycle to navigate. Still have a chat that is watching every second. And I am going to be here documenting every single beat as it unfolds. Straight up. No sacred cows. No shortcuts. No filters. Just the receipts, the pattern, and the read. If this is your first time here, hit subscribe. Boost the channel. Turn on the bell. Because when the next chapter of Chrisean Rock and Blueface collapse arrives, and it is arriving, probably before the end of this weekend, you are going to want to be in the room when I break it down. Nobody breaks it down the way this room breaks it down. Nobody. Straight up. And to my regulars, my day ones, my archive keepers, you already know. Slide down to the comments. Boost the channel. Share the video with the group chat that has been holding its breath waiting for the next Chrisean Rock chapter. Because the story is not slowing down. Chrisean Rock is not slowing down. Blueface is not slowing down. And I am definitely not slowing down. See you on the next one. Peace.